Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome to Inside Indy. And today we have a very special show for you today. We're going to be talking about the 2020 Spirit and Place Festival here in Indianapolis. And joining us to tell us all about it, they are Erin Kelly. You are Program Director with Spirit and Place. Welcome to Inside Indy.
Thank you for having me here.
All right. And then we have Ashley Mack-Jackson, who is with Word as Bond. And she's going to be going into telling our stories and transforming our world. Welcome, Ashley, to Inside Indy.
Hi, it's great to be here.
All right. Happy to have you. And, now the thing is, Erin and Ashley, okay, I have never heard of the Spirit and Place Festival. So what's wrong with me? Because this has been around for a while, hasn't it, Erin?
Yeah, this is our 26th year in the festival. We started back in 1996. And the festival started out of a grant that a part of the School of Liberal Arts at IUPUI was working on. It was a grant that looked at the intersection of faith and community life. And 26 years later, we're a legacy project of that grant. And we've been helping to organize and host the Spirit and Place Festival now for 26 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay. I don't know how I missed this one. So now let me ask you this. When you say festival, I know it's an event. Does it happen someplace? And now, things happen virtually. There's a lot going on you don't have to be in a particular place for this to happen. So is there a place this happens?
And that's a great question. The festival is really unique in the nation. First, we are the only arts, humanities, and religion festival in the country. And then to make it a little even more confusing, all of the events in the festival, which is 11 days long, are independently created. So that means every year the festival looks entirely different because it's different event creators hosting events, tackling a different theme every year. And the events happen wherever the event creators decide they happen. So oftentimes congregations will be churches and mosques will be places for events to happen, as well as museums and libraries and community centers and schools. So every year it's a little bit different. So it's actually the Spirit and Place Festival is a great way to explore the city and to literally leave your comfort zone and to go out to different places.
Wow. Okay. So during those 11 days, it could be anytime, any place. And so how do people find out about everything that's going on to be able to tap into it? Because it sounds like it is a tour of the city as a part of the festival, right?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, spiritandplace.org, and click on events, and you can look through all of the events that we have listed. We also have an event guide. So if you see these little things anywhere around the city, grab it, pick it up, look through it. And then this year we have 29 events in the festival, and there are this year, because of the pandemic, there's still a mixture of in-person events as well as virtual events. So, and I'm actually really excited by the virtual events, and I think they will continue to happen even after the pandemic, because many people do find it, honestly, just more convenient to go to an event when it's being hosted virtually, particularly elders who maybe don't drive at night and don't want to go out for an evening event. So we've got a lot of great things happening both in person and virtually.
Okay, sounds wonderful. So one of the things that you have on tap for the Spirit and Place Festival is telling our stories, transforming our world with Ashley Mack-Jackson. We're going to start with her, and then I'm going to come back to you, Erin, because we're going to go over the whole program so those who are watching can tap into what you have to offer. But since we've got her here, we might as well put her up front, bring it down front center. So Ashley, tell us your part in this festival.
Well, actually, I found out about the Spirit and Place Festival a while ago when I was actually a student at IUPUI, and I visited one of the events. I thought it was amazing. And then I think in 2018, my organization, which is Word as Bond, it is an organization that works in the community, in any kind of community center, in schools, after school programs, religious organizations. And what we do is we bring creative writing and literary arts to the community. So wherever people are, if they contact us, they can host workshops. We usually work with the community leaders to decide what those workshops will look like, and writing about different things that particular communities are interested in, and then having opportunities to have that work published or presented out in the world. And so in 2018, our organization actually partnered with the Indiana Writers Center and the Jewish Community Center, as well as Dance Kaleidoscope. And some of our youth writers wrote different poems, a series of different poems, and then the performers from Dance Kaleidoscope set those poems to music. The youth got to read those poems out loud while they, the Dance Kaleidoscope dancers and choreographers did dances. It was amazing. So this year, when I saw the opportunity for the festival was coming up, I got in contact with Donna Tressler from the Ivy Tech Library, and we worked together to create a virtual event called Uncomfortable Conversations. And in that, what we're really wanting to do is address some of the conversations that are often difficult to have around things like community, religion, and things that for whatever reason in our world have become just so divided and so, so conflicted. And our goal at Word as Bond is to actually bring people together through telling their stories and not for us to be divided. And so our organization, our event, which will be hosted on November 8th, at 12 p.m. from 12 to 1:30 p.m. And it's going to be a virtual event. So anyone can attend. Maybe on your lunch break, you can tune in to our virtual event, and you can go right there to spiritandplace.org to register for our event. And what we're going to do is have some of our artists, our spoken word artists, they're going to perform some of their dynamic work for you, and they're going to share their stories of change and transformation, their stories of religious and other identities, and they're going to share their stories. And then you're going to have the opportunity to actually speak with the artists and other community leaders about some of these things in our community that can bring us conflict. But honestly, we're looking for opportunities to bring people together through the power of words, to have us listen to each other's stories and get to know each other just a little better.
Wow, that's very powerful, because I've always felt that really would solve or resolve a lot of issues. And I think a lot of times we're on, opposing sides. And if we would sit down and talk, and the more you get to know somebody and learn their stories, or you think something is one way, and when they start explaining it to you, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then when you listen to their side, it's like, well, I can at least see why you would feel that way, or why you misunderstand that. A lot of it is a big misunderstanding on so many levels. So now when you talk about uncomfortable conversations, which is a part of the title of what you're doing, so what do you think is the most uncomfortable conversation these days? What do we need to come together and talk about?
I think honestly, there really are so many. But I think one of the biggest things that we have a huge political divide in our country. And oftentimes it goes back to exactly what you were saying, Kelly, that a lot of times people are not listening to the other side. I also teach at Ivy Tech, and one of the articles we often read is called "The Other Side is Not Dumb," which really means that oftentimes people just see tiny snippets on television, things that they hear about groups of people, religious identity, gender identity, all of these things. They hear snippets and they decide very quickly. I think we're a very fast society. We're used to getting everything very quickly. So people decide very, very quickly if they're on one side or the other. And so with those kinds of comfortable conversations, we like to pull back the layers and really get to the personal, get down to how individuals feel. And like you said, once we get to know each other, a lot of those things fall away. One of our speakers that we're going to have, one of our presenters, she's a Palestinian American. We have Christian people of the Christian faith who will talk about their Christian journey. And these people are people who are part of our organization, who are actually very close friends, very closely aligned in many ways. And that closeness comes through having those uncomfortable conversations first. And sometimes the uncomfortable conversation is just really even saying the thing, right? I am a woman. I am a Black woman. I am Palestinian American. I am a Christian. Even that identifying ourselves in certain ways can be nowadays a political statement. So I think that that's probably the most uncomfortable thing, is just getting past the labels to actually getting deeper to the individual.
Okay, and I know what you mean about when you just say who you are or what your thoughts are. I go on Facebook, not often, and I may say something, especially when it comes to women's issues, and like nobody will answer. And I'm like, come on, nobody had anything to say. And then I think it's fear. Like a lot of times, like the women don't want to chime in because they don't want to seem like they're being radical or, and I'm like, whatever, I'm putting it out here. I'm not happy about this particular, like, whatever's going on with the women in Afghanistan, you speak out and say, really? This is right to, for this to be happening. So this is awesome. Uncomfortable conversations. It actually should be, some kind of series. You guys should take this beyond, this particular event, because I think and especially bringing it together too, for the purpose of let's all sit down and be uncomfortable so we can become more comfortable. Absolutely. With each other and each other's spaces. So I love it. So, well, I tell you what, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about everything you have on tap at the 2021 Spirit in Place Festival. And before we take that break, Erin, if you could go over again the dates and the periods, the 11 days from what to what, so people, when they come back, they can get their pens and start jotting down everything we're going to have in store for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The festival begins Thursday, November 4th, and it ends Sunday, November 14th. Go to spiritandplace.org, and you can find up to 29 events that you can pick and choose from.
Okay. We'll hear more after we take this break here on Inside Indy. We'll be back after this.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
And we're back here on Inside Indy, and we're talking about the 2021 Spirit and Place Festival. And I know you're probably thinking, well, where is this, Kelly? I want to go. I want to hang out. I want to walk the streets. What's happening? And well, Erin Kelly, who's the program director for the festival, again, remind people how this happens again. It's not necessarily just in one place, though it's over 11 days.
Yeah, 11 days long. I really need to count up all the venues. We probably have close to 25 venues this year. So the festival, again, it's really unique in the nation, because we ask our event creators to bring their whole selves to the process, their artistic sides, the use of the humanities, and even their spiritual sides, right? So we're arts, humanities, and religion. We also, to get in the festival, you actually have to apply. You have to fill out an application, and we have a panel of judges from the community who read through all of the applications and then help us put the festival together. So it's always really exciting every year to see how the community tackles the theme, and this year's theme was change. Folks like Ashley, who've taken this theme and just created something amazing about it, using the arts. It's an event that allows people to bring in their faith sides. It allows folks to bring in the humanities, the arts. And it's really 11 days of just a dynamic exploration of the theme of change. And it's all about bringing people together so that we can build civic bonds and we can feel more like a community that hopefully has something more in common than what we have that divides us.
Awesome. So tell folks, earlier you had a brochure there. Tell us what we can expect and where can they get that brochure that you showed me a minute ago?
The brochure they can pick up, it's kind of spread out throughout the community. All of our event partners have them out at their venues. So if you go to Ivy Tech, you probably can find some at Ivy Tech. Spirit and Place is located on the campus of IUPUI. We're part of the IU School of Liberal Arts, so our campus is littered with them. I've been taking them into coffee shops. Anytime I stop in a coffee shop, I drop them off. So it's really kind of a matter of keeping your eyes peeled. But events. We've got exhibits in the festival. I think we've got 7 or 8 exhibits in the festival. So, for example, the Phoenix Theater is hosting a fiber art exhibit at their location downtown Indianapolis, and it's a collaboration between InFiber, which is a quilting guild, and the Acoma Toso Quilting Guild, which is a quilting guild for people of color. And it's these two guilds working together, and they've created an event or an exhibit called Tearing Down Boxes and Embracing Change. So it's all about using fiber arts to find those connections that we have with one another. We've also got events in the festival that, they're more like lecture and hands-on based. The Idle Jordan Museum is bringing in 2 Native American food experts to talk about the stories around Thanksgiving and how those stories, like with the Pilgrims and Indians, not accurate at all. And that there are ways that we can really engage the true history around Thanksgiving and even think about incorporating indigenous ingredients into our Thanksgiving Day meals. And that event is called Truthsgiving. That'll be taking place at the Idle Jorg. So there's really just a wide variety of events. If you go to spiritandplace.org, just kind of play around on that website, and any place that you see is hosting an event, hey, if it's an easy drive for you, a walk by, stop in, because they'll have event guides. So if you like looking at that paper copy, which I understand and appreciate, that would be one way of getting your hands on an event guide.
Okay. Now, one of the things I see that you have on tap, I'm curious, because obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, is COVID-19. So what are you focusing on during the festival as far as the virus goes?
Oh, you mean in terms of safety, that sort of thing?
Whatever you all are, it seemed to be that was part of the conversation, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, on one hand, many of the events, that's actually a really great question. Thank you. Many of the events in this year's festival do have limited capacity because they're having to make sure that social distancing can still be maintained. Many events like Ashley's are online, either 100% virtual or they're hybrid, which means they're letting a small in-person audience come to the event and then live streaming the rest of it. And then I do think that many of these events, regardless of the topic, I think COVID's going to come up naturally in conversation between the presenters and between the audience members. I mean, this is, sadly, it's one thing we all have in common right now, right? No matter what our backgrounds are, we have all shared this experience together. And I think it'll probably be a large part of the conversation that happens amongst audience members.
Okay. So for those who are watching this, who are you inviting to this? Can we focus in on who would this interest most? Is it for everybody or specific groups that, they may think, well, that wouldn't apply to me. And you say, oh, if you're a part of this, if you're a part of that, you want to be here, or you want to be a part of this, or you want to get that brochure to find out what's happening.
Yeah. So, there really is no such thing as one Spirit and Place audience because 95% of the events are created by different partners. So I do actually think there is something for everyone in the festival. Because we do have events that are created by artists. So if you're someone who likes going to exhibits and engaging with artists, that's in the festival. If you're someone who enjoys lectures, who enjoys history, we've got history lectures type events in the festival, right? We've also got events. Franklin College is actually doing an event which will be in person and live streamed called Oracles of Change, and they're bringing in 2 poets. One of them is Muslim, I believe. I think the other one might be Sikh or Hindu, but they're going to be using poetry and talking about their faith traditions through their art. And that'll be a live streamed event. So for people who want to explore their own faith traditions or the faith traditions of others, that's in the festival. So I genuinely believe there is a little something for everybody in here. There's even an event that the Central Indiana Land Trust is doing that involves monarch butterflies. And it's a family-based event where they're inviting you to come out and paint a monarch butterfly mural together as a family. So there's a lot of great stuff.
Okay. And then, I was thinking about the theatrical and dance performances. So where can we catch those?
Yeah, we've got two really dynamic dance performances. One of them is called Leave Them Something, and it's a collaboration between the JCC and Dance Kaleidoscope. That event will be live streamed. So that one's going to be a virtual event, and it explores climate change through art and writing that the dancers have then interpreted into dance pieces, which is just amazingly collaborative to me. There's another event called Eternity 123, and that'll be hosted at Big Car, which is near Garfield Park on the south side of Indianapolis. And that is working with the Indianapolis Movement Arts Collective, and they are bringing in a dancer named Vangeline, who is, she does Buto dance. And Buto is an avant-garde form of Japanese dance, kind of based in surrealism and a sort of this dreamlike quality. It's a very unique art form. I don't know that we have any Buto dancers here in Indianapolis. So, that event is bringing really like a new art form to the city for folks to enjoy. And that one's called Eternity 123.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, one of the things on your agenda that caught my eye, the past the Klan, the roots of racism and IPS and beyond. What's that about, and where's that coming from?
Yeah, so that was an event that, like I said, all the events in the festival are independently created. And this event really doesn't have an organization behind it. It's a collective of individuals who are concerned about the history of Indianapolis and the history of IPS in particular. And their goal with this event is to invite people into small conversations where they're going to give them what are known as primary sources. Primary sources are sort of the building blocks of history, right? Old newspaper articles, old meeting minutes, old photographs, those kinds of things. And they're going to work with the public to look at these primary sources and to reclaim the narrative of IPS and its history. And I think one of the goals that they help the public understand that, while official history textbooks are all well and good and great, the fact is each of us has the power to be our own historian and to reclaim narratives and to ask fresh questions and different perspectives of the past so that we can better make sense of today and grapple with the ramifications of the past.
Okay, very good, very good. I was just curious about that, and there's so much going on about history and that kind of thing, and I think we have to embrace all of it, good and bad, on both sides, really, because what's happened in the past, it is what it is. It's not a lot we can do to change that, but we can also always do better in the future. I want to go back to Ashley Mack-Jackson, and by the way, I love your name, Ashley Mack-Jackson. It's just sounds like it ought to be in a song or something. I don't know.
We'll keep that in mind. I like that.
You like that? Okay. Problem is I can't sing, though. That I wouldn't do it justice. But uncomfortable conversations, telling our stories, transforming our world. So is that what you hope to achieve with these uncomfortable conversations, transforming the world?
Absolutely. I know that sounds like a big call, but I think that one of the things that Spirit in Place particularly does well is what I've talked about in terms of bringing people to different ideas and different communities through art and through conversation. And so we feel a lot closer to what can be very out there or global issues when we're talking one-on-one about those things. And word is bond. One of the things that we truly believe there is every person has a seed to plant. And so having one conversation, though, that one conversation might not change all of the strife that we have in the world. A person learning something, learning from each other, people learning from each other in a moment can change their perspectives, which then changes everyone that they come in contact with. So really the idea of transformation, if we think of transformation as something on a global scale, huge, it is really hard to do. And it might scare us and make us not want to do anything. But if we think of transformation as one person at a time, then it makes the change personal, but it also makes it small enough that all of us feel like we have something to contribute to making our world a better place, a kinder place, a more inviting place for everyone.
Right. I love it. I love it. Well, this sounds like a splendid, splendid event. And I'm again, shame on me for not knowing about it, but I know now, huh? And so if we could go over again, Erin, the details, again, somebody just tuning in, how people can tap into the 2021 Spirit and Place Festival. I keep wanting to say Spirit and Praise, but it's Spirit and Place Festival.
Yeah, Spirit and Place. Just go to the website, spiritandplace.org, click on events. Look at all of the events that are happening between November 4 through 14. And most of the events in the festival are free. There are a few performances that have a price to them, but most everything is free. Because of COVID, we are asking that everyone registers for events, and that's largely because events are having to manage how many people can come to the in-person events. And then, of course, for the virtual events, you need to register so that you can be sent the Zoom link or whatever kind of virtual link exists there. But November 4 through 14, spiritandplace.org, a little bit of arts, humanities, religion, just lots of good stuff going on.
Now, is there a cost for anything?
No, they're like some of the performances do have a cost to them. I think there's a film called B Movies and Bad History that's taking place at the Can. That's like $5. I think the Buto dance, I think maybe is $20, but that's a dancer they're bringing in, I think, from the Chicago area. But there are only maybe 3 or 4 events in the festival that do have a price. Most everything is free. We try to keep it as accessible as possible, but artists deserve to be paid for their talents. So some of those art-based events, there is a fee behind them.
Okay, sounds good to me. Erin Kelly, who is the program director with Spirit in Place, and then Ashley Mack-Jackson, who is behind the Uncomfortable Conversations, telling our stories, transforming our world. Thank you both so much for joining us on Inside Indy.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. I'm Kelly Vaughn. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up, and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Staring contest.
You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.